Hi ladies and gentlemen, it's March 6, 2017, in the wee hours of the morning, and as usual I've been out gathering information and evaluating things. You know, it's aggravating that all of this is happening, and you just can't let it go because it's so epic, it's so dangerous, and we really are at a crossroads, not just in the United States but across the world, both temporally and spiritually. This is a very important time. Number one, I've already talked about the OFA, the DOJ slush fund for funding radicals and violent extremists on the left by Obama, on the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac accounts by Obama, basically to take the money to shore up Obamacare. And of course the entire OFA, Organization for Action, that Obama has basically put into play, and the entire deep state support of him behind that. He's not doing this in a vacuum. I think everybody should understand that. He uses plausible deniability to say that he's not responsible for any of these things, like the wiretapping that they basically talked about with General Flynn early on. Now they're all saying, no, we never wiretapped anybody. They lie out in the open, and you tell a big enough lie often enough and people believe it. So you never really know where things are. But I think it's pretty obvious that we know that the NSA, the FBI, the DOJ, all of those have been abusing their power and authority for a long time. So I have no doubt that they were spying on President Trump and his staff, accusing him of collusion with the Russians when that in fact is what they have done. And not just with the Russians. The Russians are a minor player, really. China is the biggest problem, and anybody who studies world events understands that. And also the fact that the deep state and the New World Order have infiltrated our government to the point where they have subverted our constitutional republic. We have all these alphabet agencies running around out there enforcing United Nations edicts at the peril of the citizens of the United States. Bundy Ranch is a good example of that. The Amish farmers, the Red River in Texas, and I could go on. The Wyoming water pond, on and on and on. There are just so many of these restrictions on business that are really nothing more than the deep state, big corporate people shutting down their competition, all under color of law. Regulation is not law, but it's treated as such. Anyway, as you can see, I start drawing too much into this. The bottom line is that we've seen some really terrible things the last few days. Number one, Comey coming out and basically throwing his boss, President Trump, under the bus, saying that the DOJ shouldn't look into these claims of wiretapping. Comey has proven himself to be untrustworthy. He was apparently a financial officer of some sort at HSBC. If you don't know much about HSBC, they laundered a lot of money. His brother is, and I'm not saying his brother is a criminal, but I'm saying that there's a conflict of interest here in investigating Clinton, because his brother's name is Peter Comey, apparently. And this came out in Breitbart like 2 years ago, and then we're making an issue of it again now. Peter Comey is an accountant for the Clinton Foundation, the whole Clinton scandal. So there are all of these intricate connections. Of course, the Clintons actually are the ones that put Lynch on the track that she got on. So we have all these difficulties going on, and Comey coming out and saying that he objects because what Trump has done is accusing the FBI of criminal conduct. Comey, I'm going to say it this way, okay? And I think this is the fair way to say it without just calling you the bullshitter that you are and the liar that you are. Oh, I just did. Okay. Investigative discretion. Prosecutorial discretion. Those are one thing. But complicit conduct, accessory conduct, trying to cover up criminal conduct, those are criminal actions. What about your lab fraud back in the 90s when all that came out? And lately. And I could list a lot of other things. You go after people that are trying to sustain the Constitution. And I'm not going to go into the particulars. Just not. You do that, but you won't go after real problems like Clinton and her Chinese connections and the Uranium One connections with Russia. And these have been beat to death lately, and I realize that. But the point is, when does investigative discretion become part of the criminal cover-up? So don't tell me that you're upset that the FBI is being accused of breaking the law. You do it routinely. Routinely. And I forget his name, but the friend of Zarnov who you executed in Florida. How convenient was that? Oh, he drew a weapon or whatever. Yeah, really. I was a police officer and a military police officer and other things for a long time. And really, you got into an interrogation and a suspect was able to threaten you with deadly force. Really? You're that incompetent, that unprofessional? Yeah, come on. That lie and that cover-up doesn't impress me at all, and it just proves more culpability on the part of the criminals in the FBI. So that's the first thing I wanted to say. Comey is complicit. He is a criminal. It's real obvious, and I'm just going to say it. They're helping to create crimes. They give. Look at the World Trade Center bombings in the 90s, in the basement. Not 2001, the 90s thing, where the FBI gave the guy the explosives. And there have been so many other things. I had one jerk, and I'm going to call him that on my, I forget where it was, but he says, oh, this is all PSYOP, the government does this, and it's legitimate intelligence operations, law enforcement operations. No, it isn't. Not when you know you're going to hurt innocent people. No, then you're violating your oath of office. Okay, so that's the first thing, Comey. Second is Lynch. And I brought this up on Twitter. Back in the beginning of the Iraq War, back in 2004, Jesus, has it been that long? 2003, 2004. You remember the Iraqi information minister, al-Sahaf? We in the United States knew him as Baghdad Bob, and everybody made fun of him. They thought he was insane because he was doing some things. He was saying, we're slaughtering the Americans at the airport. They're being defeated here, they're being defeated there. It seemed outrageous, and everybody was saying he's nuts. He's out there. This is phony propaganda. No, it wasn't. There's a circular reasoning that Middle Easterners do that Americans don't understand because we have linear thought. That's not the case in the Middle East. Like I said, I've studied these things for a long time. It was my job, okay? Now, here's something that's interesting, okay? What he was actually doing was giving orders to his military and his guerrillas on how to fight the enemy after the army went away. If you remember, we found all of these weapons and uniforms laid down in the desert and in other places. The army basically went underground, and the United States claimed it was fighting Al-Qaeda in Iraq. No, it wasn't. It was fighting the Iraqi army in a guerrilla warfare, and that's what really happened. And al-Sa'af, who everybody laughed at, including the analysts and the intelligence people and the strategic people in the Pentagon, thought that he was just insane. They didn't understand this. It was a circular reasoning. He was saying not what happened, but what's going to happen. They look at things in a circle. It's all interrelated. It's not linear timeline. It's circular. I can't explain it to you any better than that. Well, Lynch is doing the same thing, and this shows her ties to the Middle East, along with Obama, Valerie Jarrett, and all that. She probably got this explanation on how to do this from Valerie Jarrett. Her circular reasoning in this video she put out about calling for more demonstrations in the streets and standing up, and that blood will have to be let up because that's what our she's invoking the founding fathers and the Constitution, trying to throw it down. That's typical sociopathic Saul Alinsky behavior, tied in with Middle Eastern Islamic ISIS, actually, circular thought. So there's all this conduct going on with these people, these powerful people on the opposition government, and it is a civil war. Ladies and gentlemen, that's where we are. This is a civil war. We've all been asking Trump to go on the offensive. Now, again, he plays multi-level dimensional chess, and I understand that, but I'm very concerned about the people that he has surrounding him. Frankly, in my estimation, Flynn proved his mettle 2 years ago when he went out, maybe, was it 3 now? Maybe going on 3. When he went on Al Jazeera and he said, look, it was a matter of policy in the United States that they were going to fund and assist ISIS. It was a conscious decision. It wasn't just an oversight. He proved his mettle, and yet now he's gone. I'm sure he's doing things behind the scenes, but I think you see my point. And then we bring in McMaster's, who says that no, Islam is not a violent religion. It's not Islamic extremism. It's not the bedrock for that. The guy's never read the Quran. He doesn't know the first thing about it. He's been taught by the establishment. That's where he's gotten his education, and he's going with it. He's an educated idiot. And these are the kinds of things that bother me. And I think you all understand that. Is Trump, wrong in what he's doing? No. I'm not sure what his game plan is, and I have to give him a lot of leeway because he's the man in the arena. We've heard that before. And then this whole thing with Sessions being recused. And then Trump apparently, and again, this could be acting, I don't know anymore, runs off to Mar-a-Lago because he knows at least there he's got some semblance of security. He's not going to get bugged. His own security people are going to protect him there. He can't even trust the Secret Service. So this is a really bad time. It's obvious that the powers that be do not want the American people to return to liberty, to return to the Constitution, to throw off the chains of the New World Order. They don't want that. They're showing their true colors, and maybe that's the whole purpose of this. So I'm going to end this with just saying that, it's one thing for us to, this is going to be harsh. It's one thing for us to want the government to do the right thing, or to even think that the government is going to do the right thing. And it's another thing for us to allow it to do the wrong thing, time and time again. From encroaching upon our liberties, to starting unjust wars, to allow and fund the killing of unborn children, which, as I said in the last video, is not just about that and the organ harvesting and blood farming and all that. It's also to destroy womanhood. This is a battle over the consciousness and the conscience, the spirituality, the spiritual part of man, not just the physical part. The soul of man is the body and the spirit combined. That is the soul of man. At least that's the way Genesis explained it, right? God made man out of the dust of the earth and breathed his spirit into that man, and the man became a living soul. So our soul is our body and spirit united. And there is a war against that sacred thing. And the attack, as we can see, is to destroy mankind. This is going to get very ugly. Make sure you're on the right side.